said, the more you, with any craft you do, with anything you do, the more you do it. I think it's, as well, being a coach now, and me, that's why I want to get into it. I think it helps because that's it. You'll have kids as well who aren't happy when they're not playing. Mm-hmm. And you can just say, well, that's what happened to me. And I think that's it. It's all about a bit relatability. And I know how you feel because I've been there.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Across the Line with me, Chris Greatwich. Today it's just me. Jean Hamang is unfortunately unavailable for this episode, but for this very special 50th episode, we have James Younghusband back on the show. He's recently announced that he's retiring from football, which is incredibly sad for the Philippine football public, but we managed to go back through his career and talk about some of his experiences with the national team, his time with Morocco Sparks, his time with Ceres Negros most recently, and talk about some of the highs and lows throughout his career. So if you like this episode, please make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify. Review us. Please also leave us a comment where possible, and share this podcast with your friends because that will really help us to get the word out there. But without further ado, here is James Younghusband for our 50th episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of Across the Line. Today is our 50th episode, and to mark this special occasion, we have a returning guest, a very special member of the Philippine football fraternity, Mr. James Younghusband is here. How you doing, James?
I'm good, mate. Always happy to see you, especially in the morning.
Especially in the morning, yes. Just for everyone's benefit, we're recording this very early in the morning because James is on a very busy schedule at the moment, so we've managed to pin him down. So yeah, how's it going? How's lockdown treating you at the moment?
Of course, like everyone, things have got better. At the start, it's like new, being locked down and not used to being indoors the whole time. So, but then after a while, it starts to get into your mind mentally to test. But now things have reopened slowly. I like just getting back to doing some normal things. So it's getting a bit better.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, since the lockdown has occurred, you've made the big announcement, which is that you've hung up the boots. You've retired from professional football. What made you come to that decision?
Well, to be honest, mate, I've said this before. It was like my plan was to see out the rest of 2020. Yeah. Obviously, I really wanted to play in AFC and got to do that with Ceres at the start of the year. And then, but then obviously the pandemic hit. And so I think I pushed it ahead of schedule to announce it. I just felt like with the current situation globally with sports, it was time to, and self-evaluation, it was time to focus on the next step sooner. And it was a tough decision, but it was going to happen. And I can't exactly say why, but I just felt it was the right time to announce it, mate. And of course, when I announced it, I thought of you when you told me you were going to retire. So it's a lot of emotions, and just I just felt it was time for the next chapter, really, because I feel like it's the right time.
Was there a tipping point? Because I remember I was watching you. So at the start of lockdown, you were still doing your bits and pieces fitness-wise. You're getting out, doing your running video, and then posting them up, thinking, "Oh, James is looking sharp. He's getting ready for the season whenever that's going to happen." So, was there like a tipping point, or was it just a sort of gradual realization that I think now's the time to call it quits?
Yeah, you're right, mate. Well, originally I thought the lockdown would only be. I remember talking to Coach Risto. I thought it would be only maximum 2 or 3 months, but then it got extended more and more, and I was like, I need to be productive, I need to work. And during that time, when I was working out, I always would get messages from people with asking me if I'm interested in coaching now, and I was like, and other things in life as well. I'd even watch the telly and watch houses being fixed up on Netflix, and what am I getting into that? And you just explore the idea of doing something different, really. And I've as well. And I was like, as well, it came to my mind as well, there'll be a year out, and there's so many young boys losing out on football. Yeah, I remember you said it's like when things don't go right, and you got the young boys, they're the ones you feel bad for, because we got to experience things when we were younger, where constant football every year and like lots of tournaments. But now I feel it's really time to give the youth young boys more of a chance, really, and I want to be involved in it, like as a coach now.
Oh, okay, that's a big revelation. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, we'll probably talk about a little bit later on in the interview, just what your sort of plans are from here on in. I mean, you said when you came on the show before that you would like to get involved in coaching in some capacity. Obviously, you've got the academy with your brother that's been going on for a number of years. So we'll probably unpack that a little bit and explore that a little bit later on. But I sort of want to go back really and have an opportunity to think back, because obviously you've had a great career. Over 100 caps at the national team. At the club level, you've been very much at the forefront of the domestic football scene.
Yeah.
What would you say? I mean, maybe there's a lot of them to potentially choose from, but what was your biggest high over the course of your long career?
Playing with Chris Greatwich.
Obviously, apart from that, sorry, that's.
Well, no, mate. I'll be honest with you. It's got to be that great time we had. I think from 2010 to possibly 2012, really, when football like really hit the top. I could say it's true. It was the hottest ticket in town in the Philippines, really, and things were like, being honest, it was like a roller coaster where you're at the top of the point and everyone's excited and screaming.
Yeah.
I think that was a highlight, because really, like, when me and Phil first decided to come to the Philippines, it's true, we had our mission. We actually wrote down, and my brother went to some people to work with in football, the football community, and to be honest, I think, the first three rejected him. They saw him maybe as potential threat, like, saw as, oh, you can't take my kids. It's like, well, and Phil was like, no, we want to help you. We want to grow football here. And it was to the fourth meeting, who we met with, who we still work with, Coach Jojo Durian and Kathy Nazareno. They were the ones to really see our vision as well and share the same vision. And our vision was to grow the sport, and we had a 50-year plan. And that whole 2010 to 2012, that with the help of yourself and all the other Azkals players, and the help, of course, with the PFF, the guys involved, we achieved that in 1 year. So we're ahead of schedule. So I say that was the highest, and it was great to travel around and really good banter, and it's just the aura around the team, and just always stepping out on that field, and like we knew that we had like the TV network, so that was the highest, really. And I think just the career high is getting ahead of schedule with a 50-year plan. It turning into a year. So
what was in that? What was in the plan that was sort of specific targets that you wanted to hit? Do you remember?
I can tell you, we haven't actually told anyone this public. We had ideas for a league. We had ideas for a semi-professional league, and obviously UFL was just starting up then.
Yeah.
Of course, we were like, and we wanted to be involved in UFLs. Or it even came to a point where we were going to play for Alaska's team as well. We were always open to all ideas. We wanted to see what worked, what didn't work, and of course, me and Phil being in the Philippines, we didn't know how things. And that was what's good about having Kathy Nazarena and Jojo Durian. They knew how things worked here, and then we would bring our knowledge from Europe, and they would have their knowledge here in the Philippines. So we had ideas for a league. We even had, because of this lockdown, I've had time to clear out loads of storage, and I found all these files of all our ideas, and my brother's drawings of a training ground and everything here. He even wanted to buy land here to build a training complex. Even me, we designed, we had idea for a theme park, like obstacle course, and we're going to get these inflatables, and you know how it is. We're going to get those speed lasers where you run through and test your speed. Of course, it would have been quite pricey. I don't know if we would have made our money back. But we were throwing loads of ideas, and it was just we wanted to be involved in football and have fun and share our knowledge around the country. But there was the league idea. We even did, we played in the league, the league here in Alabang, the MPLFA league, and we played against the school teams. We just wanted to do anything involved in football. We joined in tournaments, and it was just, we needed to just learn what worked and what didn't work. So that was the plan.
Yeah. So everything but the theme park came to fruition. Is that what you're saying?
The theme park's still possible, you know.
Oh, okay. All right.
If you want to get involved, I've got the numbers here. We had I can't remember the company. We messaged through I can't remember, but it's like amount of thousands of dollars it would cost. And I think Phil was going to take it out of his own pocket. But those are
Right.
ideas just to show the fun side of the game, really. And yeah, so who knows?
What was the point within that specific 2-year period that you thought, wow, actually, things have changed, like things are different? Because obviously you were here in the Philippines before everything sort of changed in 2010 with what happened in the Suzuki Cup in that period. But was there a moment in between that sort of that 2010 2012 period where you thought, wow, actually things are so different to how it was when we first came out?
I think it was the media attention. I think my brother being on TV Patrol every day.
Yeah.
It's just seeing the advert. I think just driving around seeing some of the players on billboards. I think that's when you realise it changes. I mean, that was it. Just the awareness we wanted to raise, really, and but just by that you spread something. You spread like the football fever, like because people would ask, who's that person? Oh, he's a soccer player, he's a football player. And that's it. You you reach different markets. People may not know about football. They may not know the rules, but they know of certain individuals, certain personalities, and that's how you get. And obviously, you had the reach into the celebrity world, the showbiz world, and you're reaching that. And I was like, that's what's working, and that's what's when you realize it's growing that way. Of course, you have to look at other countries. We compare it to Europe and like even just the US. When you see like, of course, you have the women's national team like growing in popularity and with the celebrities, and it just spread that awareness. And I think just seeing that was the time. And of course it was great, and you had people wanting to come to watch our games, the tickets, even the after parties as well. Like it was, you'd have the DJ announce the arrival of the Azkals. So those were when you like, this is shades. Of course you would like to get back to that, and I think that's what we're all working on to get towards that now.
Yeah. In one of the previous podcasts that we had with Jing, we were talking about the fact that it was like this whirlwind period where everything just seemed to be like gold, you know. It was like just this clamber for tickets or clamber to get a glimpse, you know. There just doesn't seem to be that so much anymore. But what would you say was like the peak moment? Is there like a peak moment for you across your time with either the national team or with the club? Not necessarily just within that period, but across your whole football career.
I'd probably say, I'll give you two of them because they're two different ones. I'd probably say us competing in the World Cup qualifiers. That was the highlight. Just Rizal Memorial packed, and then you had like the drama, like even the Sri Lanka game, and then you had the Kuwait game as well. Like on the field, that was like where it was. You felt like this is amazing. Like you just you get that butterfly feeling, you get that goosebumps feeling as well. But I say personally, like I'm sure you may agree as well, is when we played against LA Galaxy. And like who would have thought we'd bring David Beckham to the Philippines?
Yeah.
And like get the chance to play against. I remember messaging you. Oh, you come to the game. You went, yeah, some guy named David's playing. I feel like getting involved. But yeah, just that and growing up, and he's our childhood hero, and you think like him coming to the Philippines, you get to play, not meet him in the Philippines, but you get to play football against him in the Philippines. So those were like, I think that was the peak, like real peak. And just that. And that's what I mean. It's a long period of time, and there's been lots of ups and downs, and those are the ones that stick in your mind. It's like that whole experience. And when you see on Facebook the photos, like those that was a good time.
Yeah, I posted that one maybe last week. It was a picture of us in the LA Galaxy game, and it was such a. Which we didn't realise it at the time because we were right smack bang in the middle of that sort of frenzied state. And I remember talking like Manny Pacquiao came to watch the game.
Exactly.
I mean, like if you're wondering how much sort of reach we had at that particular moment in time, we were getting, I mean, not just the biggest celebrity in the Philippines, but one of the biggest stars on the planet coming to watch us, play against other people who are also, most iconic figures in sport. So that for me was definitely one of the highlights. And it's funny, it's strange that you mentioned it. Like for me, it was probably like Suzuki Cup 2010 for obvious reasons, probably Indonesia game, which seems strange because obviously it's nothing to do with the result, It was nothing to do with results because we lost both those games, but the atmosphere was incredible. And then the same, even obviously Sri Lanka game, you guys won. I didn't play in that one, but the Kuwait game, the same. You lost the game at home, but like the atmosphere was electric. I remember watching it, thinking, "Wow, what an atmosphere!" And then you mentioned the Galaxy game, another game that we lost. So it's funny, isn't it? And like the more I sort of speak to people, especially when it's sort of post career, and obviously it's fairly fresh for you. But when a lot of people think back and look back over their career, most of the key moments don't seem to be like about the football per se.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't seem to be about many people talk about like a specific game or a goal that they scored. And like one of the things that people miss is obviously, being in the changing room environment, the banter and stuff. I mean, you've been off the field now for a number of months.
Yeah.
Since you retired, is there anything that you don't miss about playing? I know that a lot of people talk about when they retire, there's certain things that they do miss, but like pre-season, for example, no one misses doing a pre-season. So since you've been able to put your feet up for a number of weeks, what don't you miss about football?
I don't miss having to have such a strict diet. Have you
been letting yourself go?
Nah, not too much. I'm all right. I'm still working out. I think though it's I've changed my workouts now more, as my brother said, it's more for leisure, where you're just mixing it up, doing a different workout, different, like you do yoga, you do a hip workout, you do like I do Zumba with like karate kicks and stuff in the living room. Just something different. But yeah, it's hard because there's not many things I don't miss, but yeah, I can relate to some players where I don't miss like just running and running. What else is there?
One thing I miss, James, I don't know how you feel about this, but like, I don't miss being on a schedule. Some people are like, I love the routine.
I've had that in my mind, like, and you just, it's like, I get like, and don't like, if it's when you're in a camp or in a hotel, you're like, I've got to be here, You're like, all right, we got 10 minutes before we have to head down, and what we got to wear and stuff like that. Like, it's which I think there's a good part to that, until it just helps you get organized and stuff. But yeah, you're right. I agree with you. Like just being on a schedule and stuff. I think as well, there's a part where I don't miss. I think there's times where you just overthink some things as well, where like it's like you overthink an opponent really, or you overthink like something you have to work on in training and something. I think I've learned. That's why I think I've learned. And just like should be a bit relaxed and you just go with the flow. Go with the flow.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah.
As well, like I think here running in the heat as well. It's a hard one.
I think that's a big one. I think that's something that's massively under sort of appreciated. It's just how difficult it is to train every day when it's 100 degrees out. Do you know what I mean?
I've got whiter. The tan has gone.
Is it? Yeah.
I can see I'm a bit whiter compared to usual.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't miss. Yeah, agree the pre-season one, and yeah, it's as well like the worry. This one in general really, not just for football, but if you're going to be late for training and you're worried when you arrive, you're stuck in traffic. Like, oh no, I'm going to be late. And you got to send a message to the coach, and you just know you just got to dive in and just say, yeah, sorry, I'm late.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't miss. I think the worrying part. I don't miss the worry. I don't miss the worrying part.
I remember I listened to an interview with Ben Foster the other day, and he's obviously still playing. And one of the things that he said he's really looking forward to is like just going on vacation whenever he feels like it.
You're spot on. You're spot on, mate. That's what Phil said actually. He just, of course, now, and I'm sure you feel the same. It's starting a family, especially, and I think Rob Gears felt that way as well. It's just, especially when you're doing international tournaments, you're traveling a lot, and it's as well. Yeah, as you said, the schedule of the season, summer holidays. That's when pre-season is. So yeah, looking forward to going on vacations and stuff. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because I know you love a vacation. You like doing a bit of traveling.
Yeah,
so a little bit off topic, but is there anywhere that you'd like to go visit? If we've got this free time, I know maybe not right now because traveling is going to be a bit difficult. But anything on your radar that you would like to go and visit? Now you've got a bit of extra free time.
yeah, it's not a good time because it's got the highest cases in the world at the moment. But yeah, the US, I really love the US. Ever since I was a kid, really, I get all the travel magazines to go to the US with the Statue of Liberty on it, and then as you get older, of course, you got Vegas as well. So
Yeah.
so yeah, go to LA and stuff. Like go across the United States. Or hopefully, when things calm down with the corona.
Yeah. I fully get that. That's definitely something I'm looking forward to doing as well once this pandemic eases. There's been so many highs in your career, and you mentioned just a couple, and they're probably some of the more obscure ones. I think there are some even more sort of obvious ones that are more sort of synonymous with you. You've had your fair share of lows as well, disappointments. Obviously we kind of touched upon it before you'd signed for Ceres, the fact that you hadn't. I said you hadn't won a domestic trophy. You brought up the Mickey Mouse Cup, I called it, that you won. Yeah, I said it's won by default. Obviously you managed to kind of put that to bed this season by winning a double with Ceres, this past season. But were there any sort of real lows? Were there any parts of your career where you're like, that was a really difficult period for me to get through?
Yeah, when you beat us in the cup final.
Which one? Davao.
That was disappointing, really. But you guys deserved it. But yeah, other lows. I think the biggest one in my career is it's hard to say because some of the boys always talk about being a great time, and it was a great time. Like some players know how it was. I remember Simone and me talked about it for a bit. My lowest point for the national team was the Maldives Challenge Cup. Our squad was talent-wise so good, good, very competitive for positions, and I'll be honest, my performance wasn't the best at the start. Really, I think it just wasn't clicking for me, and of course, then I was put on the bench, and it's very hard when you're usually playing. I'm sure usually in the starting line, and also you're on the bench, and you don't get any game time from. You play the first 2 games, and then you don't get, and then after that you don't get. You play the first 2 games, and then after that you don't get any game time for the rest of the.
Did you not play the whole tournament thereafter?
No, I didn't. I didn't come on. I played the first 2 games. The first one against you got injured. You got and I injured. Yeah. Who was our first? Was that
Afghanistan?
Who was
Afghanistan.
It?
Afghanistan.
Was that our first game?
Mm.
Against them, and then our second game against was it Lao?
Yeah.
Lao. And then that's the game I got taken off at half time. Our squad was so strong and very hard to get back into the team after that. And team-wide, we got to the final and we did. I supported from the bench, but then we got to the final, came close to winning it. Just think, personally, I was because it's very difficult when you're on an island. People think, the Maldives, paradise. Now, when you're there for work and, of course, you want to play, you want to do your part, and you're low on confidence, and you're stuck in a hotel, in the room in the Maldives. It's not ideal, and that's why, after that, your brother went, and my brother went to Singapore with Morocco, and felt good just to play in that game, get a game again, and I scored a hat trick on that.
Yeah, I remember that. Because I remember after the final, obviously, for those of you that don't remember, I think I played the first game, got injured, and then I played in the semi-final, scored the winner.
Yeah, you did.
To get us through to the finals. I was buzzing. So I was like, I wasn't sure if I was going to start because obviously the team had done well up until that point. But I felt like if I was going to come on in that game, I'll do something. I just felt that. And then the way the game panned, I don't know if you remember, but they had 2 absolute monsters at the back and they were just eating everything up. They were physically so, and it was like the game was sort of tailor-made for you because they were it was quite a difficult pitch to play on. So sort of intricate play was quite tough. So we needed some sort of aerial threat, at least just to challenge those 2, because balls were coming to the box and just, they were just dealing with everything. So I was like, the logical sub was obviously to put you on, and then probably to bring myself on. I remember you and I were warming up for ages, and then obviously the 3 subs were made, and I remember both of us just being like so disappointed. And I know a lot of players then voiced their disappointment with that, which was, I feel sorry for Thomas Dooley in a sense, because I know he came up to me at breakfast the following day and apologised. He said, "Oh, if I could do it again, I would have put you on. I think I've made a mistake there." And I was livid. I was fuming at that point. I know a few other players, namely you, were also disappointed. So I appreciate him, and he made decisions what he thought was best at the time. I don't think, obviously he called it as he saw it, but in the end, he probably realised he didn't make the right calls in that particular game. But yeah, I can remember you just being absolutely just devastated. And then I remember you played shortly afterwards in Singapore, and obviously got those, got that out your system straight away with a blistering performance. I remember even like sending you a message or tweeting or something like he's back or
I remember that. Cheers for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I say, it's hard because you want the team to do well, but of course you want to be involved. And I felt that was my worst personal performance for the national team. So of course you're down, but then you want to be up with everyone else, especially when we're on the boat singing Backstreet Boys. It's like and that's what I mean. I was happy we did really well in the tournament, and of course, let's be honest, I'm sure every player will say it. Of course, you think about personally how you feel, what your involvement is, what you can contribute. But yeah, and that was a lesson for me. I needed to work on stuff, and yeah, so that was my lowest low.
Really, I didn't realise it was that significant for you. I didn't realise that, because obviously, like you said, a lot of us were looking at it from the perspective of it was a really good time. Like the trip itself was enjoyable. Like the group we had was good, both in terms of great group, weren't we? Yeah.
As I said, you're in the mood. You're in the mood.
You can't complain too much.
No, I can't complain too much. It's just, that's what I mean. I find when you're in that, the good thing is I had you boys, like you have your teammates to support you as well, and I think it's just hard when it's a camp and you're in that environment constantly. Like if it's different when you can go home and sort of do other things, take your mind off it, then you're okay. But if you're on an island in a hotel room with the environment is focused on that, so I mean there's pros and cons to it, but yeah, that's for me. It was an experience for me, and just shows you it's not all perfect, but those are challenges you have to face. So that was my lowest low.
Yeah. Go on. Sorry, go ahead.
I have another high. I have to say it's. I think I said it before. It's the North Korea game was a high for me as well.
Was it? Yeah, I didn't play in that game, so a lot of people speak really glowingly about that whole experience. Like it must have been just such a different encounter for you and the rest of the guys compared to what we were used to.
Yeah, it's because I was out again. I wasn't in that tournament we just discussed. I was taken out of the team, but before the North Korea the whole World Cup qualifiers, I was taken out of the squad. So again, it was time to the good thing about that was I was able to play with my club team, get back to get my confidence going again, and then also go home and do other stuff. And then I got the call up from Coach Dooley and Ace, and it was the last World Cup qualifier. I was just happy to be back, and in training I just worked my butt off. And Coach Dooley he was really great to me about it. He was encouraging me, and it was good to be back, and I had a chance to refocus. And when I came on for those 7 minutes, I was just like, I'm just gonna run my butt off, like, yeah. So
you changed the game. I think that's quite interesting about your how you evolved over that course of your career, because I look at how you came in and you were like, I mean, obviously your first tournament you played central midfield and you played in the SEA Games. You were like this midfield, midfield dynamo. So so you obviously came in and played that role for the national team. Slightly sort of a dearth of quality at that particular time. So obviously trying to get key players in key positions. Then as we sort of got a bit better, obviously moved to a more traditional right wing position. Obviously focusing on getting good delivery into the box, which is what you're probably renowned for. That's that sort of iconic imagery of the James Younghusband cross is going to be, entrenched in Philippine football folklore forever. But even then, like, I mean, you sort of then played a few games up front as a starter, as a target man, and then you then sort of evolved into this spark plug substitute, wasn't it? That was your role with the national team a lot. Yeah. And I mean, I remember that North Korea game. Correct me if I'm wrong. Were you 2-1 down or 2-2 when you came on? So I remember Ian Ramsey having a massive impact as well when he came on.
We were 2-1 down.
And you came on with 7 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And you won 3. Yeah, and obviously can't pull it back to win 3-2.
And then Manny got the equaliser, and then Rambo scored the winner. So.
Yeah, which you were involved with that. I mean, there's so many instances where, I think you either came on or you highlighted your versatility and changed games. I mean, obviously, so many really iconic headed goals. Obviously, we talked about before the most underrated one, which was the one back in 2010 qualifiers, the Lao game. We spoke about that a lot. I watched a video the other day of the Hong Kong header you scored away in that game. That was, again, only a friendly, but whenever you put on a national team shirt, it's an intense game, and that was a really intense match.
Oh, exactly, man. Especially with the crowd and between the two countries.
Yeah, the political landscape was.
Yeah, exactly. So that spiced things up a bit. So it's not a lot of people realise that. Yeah, I just remember we had McDonald's drink cartons thrown at us.
Yeah, it was pretty heavy, wasn't it? It was pretty heavy.
It was.
So
we're leaving.
Yeah, and then obviously developing that into like this energizer off the bench, spark plug. I mean, the North Korea game is obviously one that's really, it's etched in, like I said, etched in the Philippine folklore. But I mean, there's so many other games. I mean, even as recent as the last Suzuki Cup. I mean, people forget that he came off the bench and impacted a number of games off the bench. So I think that's also something that's quite undervalued or underappreciated with you, like, because a lot of times, like you said, you can be assumed to be a starter, or you can be assumed to be this one type of player, but you've actually evolved as you've got older and played many different roles within both club football and sort of national team football.
Yeah.
How did you, like, for me, like, I always struggled with that, the sort of understanding my role, especially towards the end of my national team career, when it was evident, he had the likes of Manny coming through, and the team was starting to get built around him because he was going to be there for another, 8-10 years feasibly. Yeah. How did you sort of get your head around that? I'm quite intrigued. I never really asked you this, but obviously as your role changed, how did you sort of find that sort of inner discipline, I suppose, to think, right, well, I accept this role, I accept this challenge. I'm now going to do this role to the best of my ability, whether it's 10 minutes off the bench, 5 minutes off the bench, and just try to have a significant impact, or play out of position, or play a different position to what I'm used to. How did you deal with that?
I think at first it was difficult, but the good thing is you have your friends and family to support you, give you a bit of a confidence boost. But I think, that time I had out of the national team, and then you just sit at home and you see the players go. I saw my brother literally pack his bags in his tracksuit and stuff.
Yeah.
And he would go. Of course, you didn't miss, as I said, you don't miss the travelling part, but just you miss the build up towards national team games. Like that's what everyone's talking about. And then it's like, that's why I said I'd rather be on the bench and be involved in any way possible.
Yeah.
You just want to contribute. As well, it's harder when you're younger because you want to play as much as you can. You want to, like, of course, you want to go on to the next levels and stuff. You just want to play as much as you can. But as you get older, you sort of, as well, it helps to watch. If you watch higher level football, you see that these players have their specific roles, and you say, hey, look, it happens to them. It's as well. I think it was. I'm sure you had the same when you could relate to professional players, role models as well. I could relate to. Remember David Beckham, him up again. Remember at Real Madrid when Capello came in, made him train on his own, and of course they were bringing. You had the likes of they had Robinho coming in. They had all these players. I think it's hard when I'm not saying coaches are worried, but coaches in general, like they come in and they want to change things up a bit. And so I mean, it's hard when players feel like, oh, my place is already in cemented. It's like, no, if a new coach comes in, they're going to change things up. They want to do things differently. I think we saw that with some coaches in the Premier League when they're taking over. They just like, no, I'm scrapping everything that was done before. I'm doing things my way. And you have to adapt, really. You have to adapt and just make things work and collaborate. But yeah, I think it helps to have role models and see it's not just you. It doesn't just happen to you. It happens to everyone, even at the highest levels. And yeah, that's how I coped, really. Just you look at other people who did. And that's why when I was called back up, I didn't know if I'd play or not. But I was just happy to be involved in any way possible. And yeah, just happy to put the training kit on again as well and training. Also, it's when you change that role, you're on the bench and you get to bond with all the boys on the bench and everything. It's a different experience, and yeah, it helped that I was older. I think it's harder when you're younger. It's like you just like you just say that's my role now. You can say like I always compare it to movies. You're like that's your role in the movie. You're that guy. So yeah, that helped really.
Yeah, I definitely think you always want to be the lead actor, don't you? You do want to be the lead actor, but
you don't want to be supporting or cameo.
But I think sometimes if you are a good actor, the cameo often steals the movie. Do you know what I mean? And I think to jump on your analogy, and that's something that you did incredibly well. And I think that's probably it gave you an extra 2 or 3 years with the national team, if I'm being honest. And if you look at it, it's arguably created some of the biggest moments for you, like obviously coming off the bench for the Tajikistan game and having a massive impact in that game. These sorts of things, your adaptability and your versatility has helped you, gain longevity in the game. And I think that's something that a lot of kids need to understand. We had Harvey Gayoso coming on the show, and he talked about obviously being a striker and how Scott was trying to get into play as a right back, and then he accepted the challenge. And I think that's great. People need to have that kind of attitude in order to survive in this game. Because if you don't, if you're rigid in your thinking, you're going to find it very, very hard to have a long career. So
you're spot on, mate. And I think as well, like as I said, the more with any craft you do, with anything you do, the more you do it. I think it's as well, being a coach now, and like me, that's why I want to get into it. I think it helps because that's it. You'll have kids as well who aren't happy when they're not playing, and you can just say, well, that's what happened to me, and I think that's it. It's all about a bit relation and relatability, and like you're like, I know how you feel because I've been there, but it's just like that's it. Especially when you're coaching young kids and you have to explain why they didn't play, or you have a special role for them, a role in mind for them. And so yeah, that's what will help us in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. Would you change anything? This is one of the other questions that I wanted to ask you, because obviously you had your ups and downs. You had your little hiatus for a period where you're at loggerheads with the PFF, for example. I know obviously, like you said about you didn't get to play in the AFC until very, very recently, which I know was a real big target for you guys. And then again, it was unfortunately cut short with the pandemic. But is there anything looking back that you think, I wish I could change that, or I wish I'd done that differently? Looking back over your career, is there anything you would change if you could?
Not really. Like, I think, how do I say? I had this in my mind just a second ago. No, it's like when I first was younger, I was like, I wish I just played more, got more football fitness rather than taking a break. I was like, no, but then you wouldn't have learned how important football fitness is.
Right.
I think everything happens for a reason. It's there was time where we took a break from the national team, but I think we took a break because we believed what was right, and we felt it wasn't right what was going on back then. And no, I've always felt at the time I've had time to think about certain decisions, and it hasn't been a rush decision, but it's like, and I've always believed I've made the right decision. It's always been a good one, and yeah, so there's nothing I wouldn't really change really. It's kind of boring. I was like, oh, certain times I wish I was more focused and everything.
Yeah.
Like,
When were you not? When were you not so focused?
I think maybe that's the when was I not focused? When I was younger. When I was younger, if I wasn't like, I think I could have shown I wanted it a bit more. But I think football was changing during that time in our era, like in terms of the way it was being played and the philosophy of the clubs.
Are you sort of talking more like your old Chelsea days? Is that what you're sort of relating to?
Yeah, probably. I'll be honest. Yeah, I mean, because like obviously my role was growing up David Beckham role, right midfielder, whipping in crosses. Like I say this about me and Phil talk about Alonso right now for Chelsea, like how he plays left back, but we're like back in the day he probably would have been a left midfielder.
He would have. Yeah.
But now the game has changed so much where you have the fullbacks are now the ones who cross the ball in. I watched for Chelsea the other day, James, and I'm like he's quality like going forward and can whip in a good ball and just shows you how much the game. And you got Trent Alexander-Arnold for Liverpool. Like back in the day, they would have been forward players. So I think it's maybe I think if I could change something, it would have been maybe I would stop. I kind of always wanted to. Chelsea would encourage me to play more as a fullback. I was like, no, I want to be a right midfielder. I want to be a right winger. But I didn't really understand that the game was evolving and changing then.
Right.
So I would probably say I should have just cemented myself as a right fullback.
So if the older James at the time and speak to the young James Younghusband, what would he say in that instance then?
He'd say, just stick to right back. Be like Gary Neville. Be like Gary Neville.
No one grows up wanting to be Gary Neville, mate.
Because the game is changing now. So that would be my big. But no real regrets. Because I feel the times those have been learning experiences for me.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. The time I had out from the national team, that was a big learning experience. And then I think
that's really interesting. Like, sorry to cut you off. Like,
that's right.
As I speak to a number of different coaches now, we're talking about certain things about how to deal with youngsters, and that seems to be like a common thread at the moment. Is just like no one really realizes what it takes to make it. And even when you think you're working hard, you're probably not working as hard as you should. And it just. I mean, you would have heard it, James, and I definitely heard it. It was, older pros would be like, look, you need to be working hard at your game. When this is all over, like, you're going to look back at this and think, I wish I'd done this. I wish I did that, which is the worst thing that you could possibly do. But I think it's trying to find the way in which to get that message across to young players who are just embarking on their career or who want to make a career in football. Yeah. So what advice would you have for any youngster, like because now you are that older pro or the former pro, if there's any youngsters that are out there listening, like what sort of advice would you give to any of them who want to make it in professional football?
This is a very good question, actually. I've always wanted to answer this one. I think Rio Ferdinand answered it ages ago. But I mean, it's hard when you're young, especially now this day and age with media, with social media. I mean, I fell for it when I was younger. You kind of feel like football, it's all about becoming a star. It's all about becoming, it's all about being the best player. And because, where did I say this? You feel like, it's all about having the best gear and looking good. And it's all about having everyone talk about you after the game. But I mean, you have to have a longer picture, a longer goal in mind. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just play as much football as you can, and like because you always worry. You don't know how everyone's scared of the unknown, and they don't know how their career is going to go. But I mean, you just at the end of the day, if you play as much football as you can, and you're going to have bad games. That's part of it. In anything, you're going to have that. But again, that's when you learn. It's like so. Don't dwell on it too much, but just look forward to the next training sessions and the next games and. Just play as much because the more hours you clock on, the more it's going to help you in the long run. It's so like when I see other people do their career, like actors, singers, and everyone's like, oh, they're amazing. But you think about it, that's because they've been doing that for years and years and years, and there's been a time when I'm sure I remember hearing Rihanna sing a song, and she was so out of tune and everything. But now look, she's a global singing superstar. It's like no one's perfect. No one's but you're gonna have bad times, and you just gotta keep going. It's cheap and it sounds very Hollywood movie-ish, but it is true that you just gotta keep going and work on your craft and just study the game really and study. I suggest play it. Always aim for the highest level you can play at, because it'll be hard, but you get used to that hard, and then it becomes easier. So yeah, just play as much as you can, and just I did have a vision in mind which position you want to do, and
that's
which
the main
suits you,
one.
not what you want. I think it's find a position that you know that you are going to excel in, rather than which position you see yourself ideally becoming, but you have to see which one can give you a great long career.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Like one of the things, like especially dealing with youngsters and people who think they want to make it in the game, like there is no shortcuts. When I hear people, oh, he's got natural ability. I don't think there's such a thing. I think there's maybe 1 in a million who is you have that natural talent. But even like you look at someone like Messi, and if you don't think that guy's working crazy hard on his game, like you're living in a dream world. And I think we're all probably blessed with certain attributes or certain skills, a skill set, or physical capabilities that enable us to do certain things easier. But then there really is no shortcut, and it's not going to be a straight line. It's not going to be linear. It's not going to be here and the success is here and you just go here. It's all over. It's ups and downs. It's how you deal in those low moments, how you react in those difficult periods, and how you manage to stay grounded during those peak moments that will hopefully enable you to get to where you get to. But I think it's really tough. Like you said, it's really tough to see how hard you have to work, because a lot of that's done in the dark. Yeah. A lot of that's done when people aren't watching. I used to say to our young kids coming through, what's done in the dark comes out in the light. That was my thing I used to say, because people don't see you at home passing the ball against the wall. People don't see you do the people don't see us doing those shuttle runs, and little things as well. I used to hate it when I used to see kids. They don't turn at the line. They don't go to the cone. They go just short. They go just short, and they don't touch the line, or don't touch the cone. And I absolutely despise that, because if you're going to cheat now in front of people, you're going to cheat when people aren't looking, and that and that sort of thing just does not hold with me. And I make a really big point about little things like that, because if you're going to cheat in front of your teammates on a run, you're going to cheat when you get told you have to turn at the line. You're going to cheat when no one's watching. When you do a 10K run, you do 9.5K. Or we need to make that lung busting run into the box at the end of the game. You're not going to make it. Because that's really interesting that you say that. I think that's really great advice, because the last thing really I want to talk about is what's next. I know you expressed at the beginning of the episode and in previous episodes that you want to get into coaching. So what's the next step for James Younghusband?
Well, it's of course we've done the 10-year playing career here. So I think next thing is I have roughly a 5 to 10 year plan of coaching, and I know it's those.
Are you going to finish that in 1 year as well? You're going to do that in?
I've got 10-year plan. I'll finish it in 1 year, and then it's all right. What next now?
What next? Be an actor.
Well, I own a football club. I've got a football club. I've got enough cash to buy a football club. But no, it's. I know the first year it's going to be high because I'm still learning. I know the game perfectly. I'm not saying I know. I'm the ideal coach now. I'm ready to coach. It's going to be a learning process, and for me, I want to travel around. I'd like to go to the States. Like to go back to the UK. Hopefully, if Chelsea will take me on, I said it's not about the asking for lots of cash, but it's about just the experience and the knowledge I will gain from it. So that's why I want to really study it. Study different coaches, different styles of different philosophies, different beliefs, really, and. Really just learn more about the game, really, and take a step onto the sidelines and just watch the players play. So
what sort of coaching do you see yourself doing? Like, would you like to do kids? Would you like to do pro level? Like, what do you sort of see yourself coaching?
I would like to kids and teenagers really. I just find who knows. I'm not so sure yet about
Yeah.
men's team in the future. I just find like I think that'll take more years for me to become handling men's team. Just I love I think good thing with kids and expect like where they see a pathway, and also because you're not just dealing with the kids, you're dealing with the parents also. I'm sure you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you see if there's a pathway, you can work on that pathway together, and it's I think I just love the attitude of them wanting to learn, especially like if you have ourselves there, they have loads of questions and they want to learn, and I think it's good you can teach them lots of stuff really. So I think for now, definitely for the next 5 years it'll be young kids and teenagers looking to excel in the sport.
Yeah, brilliant. I think you got a lot to give. Like one thing I would say with that is the same as what you would give the player. Like you just got to get on the grass and just do loads and loads of sessions. Like there is absolutely no substitute for that. You know, like I remember going on the coaching course that I did in Ireland, and you know, all of these people who've got so much knowledge. You know, guys who played at the top end, guys you know very well, and just the ability to get their information out in a succinct, orderly fashion was really tough because they'd never done it before. But obviously, the more you practice, the more you rehearse, the more sessions you deliver, the more comfortable you get with that, and then that part of your brain just gets freed up to see what's in front and react to what's going on. You know, I think that's really key, because once you get used to delivering sessions, you're not worried about what cone goes there, what's the next progression. That's already on autopilot because you've done, you know, 1,000 training sessions, 10,000 training sessions, or however many you decide to do. So, you know, I think but I think the key is obviously with you is you've got that knowledge, so it's just about how you get it out to the kids, and then, you know, the type of coach you want to be, because you've got many influences. You know, from people you've played under or people that you've worked with. So what I'm interested to find out is what type of coach is James Younghusband going to be? Are you going to be a hard taskmaster? Are you going to be hairdryer treatment? Are you going to be the arm around the shoulder type coach? What type of coach do you think James Younghusband is going to be?
I'm going to be hand over the shoulder type.
Oh yeah,
I'm
nurturing.
All the players love. Now, I'll be honest with you. My idea, like growing up especially being at Chelsea, I watched Frank Lampard as a player. I recently watched him as a coach, and I think he's done amazing as a coach. And seeing how he's brought in, like, of course, they had the difficult situation with the transfer ban.
Yeah.
Like how he's got the team, and I think in the football they play, it's great. It's exciting. And the thing he's done as well, he's brought in the youth as well and given opportunity, which, let's be honest, was there wasn't much that wasn't kind of happening before.
Yeah.
And now it's like you see all the young players at Chelsea getting loads of game time. They're in the FA Cup final. So I think he's one of my big role models as well. He's got like a young coaching staff as well. You can see how he works, and so I see Frank Lampard as a big influence on me. Of course, not going to say I'm going to carbon copy exactly what he does, but of course that's the type of things you like. You take a piece of what he does and you create your own way. So of course, like. There's that stuff from Mourinho I love as well. Not his recent stuff that I've seen on Amazon. Like, but yeah, I already know as a coach how important it is just by knowing people's names, how much of an effect that makes on people. Sorry, low battery.
That's right.
Just knowing people's names, it's how much of a big effect that can happen on man management stuff, and just the simple words of well done. And so that's it. And as you said, we know what it's like to be a player. We know what we would like from coaches and stuff. Like, of course, I understand there are some players who need like a big yelling at sometimes, need that extra motivation. I remember our good friend when I played with him, Milan, like at Morocco, like getting so frustrated with each other, we were screaming at each other. And after the game, he came up to me and said, "Thank you." I went, "Why are you saying thank you? We fought." And he was like, "No, I needed you to yell at me and fight me because that rattles me up." And I was like, "Oh, not everyone's like me who just needs to talk."
Yeah.
but there's some players who need a rollicking, some players who are a bit like, as you said, arm over the shoulder. You know it all, mate. So
Yeah.
That's what I think the interesting about it. It's just managing these personalities, and that's what I mean. You can't just come in and change everything right away. You need to get in, need to know the personalities. It takes time.
Brilliant. I mean, the last thing I want to find out about is philosophy. What's it gonna look like? What's the James Younghusband team gonna look like? Do you have any ideas yet?
Well, I think it's, especially during this pandemic, it's like, we know since we're young, but it's just got to keep things fresh and fun. I think it's, especially if you do the same thing over and over again, it becomes boring. And then, if you enjoy it, you're going to keep looking forward to wanting to do it and pursue it longer. So, I don't know exactly. I want to study more how football's played. It's good to watch. It's good to watch the football again. It's good to have the Premier League back and see how, especially you had Chelsea beat Man United the other day.
Yeah.
Lampard's first win over Ole. So that's what I mean. It's interesting. That's what's interesting about it. Just it's the battles, the tactics. That's why I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it yet. That's why the first part to learn it. But I think I want to have fun as a coach. If not, I'm not going to want to keep doing it. You just want to have fun, and as well, if I go to these other countries, just a new environment, as I said, keeping it fresh. But then I'm like, some people have asked me, like, your brother, like, are you leaving for good and stuff like that? No, I'm not. I'm just going just to travel and gain steal some information, then bring it back to the Philippines and let the Philippines have it. So that's the plan.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, look, James, we would sit in our hotel rooms and we talk tactics and we chat about
Ronald McDonald,
with my dodgy boots on, and we talk about football and how we would do it, if we had it, and all of these different things. And I think those are the types of discussions that need to be had, because it's what formulates your ideas in your head, and it starts to form your identity, not just as a footballer, but as a future coach, and now hopefully very soon as a coach. And we would have so many discussions, and we've experienced so many different scenarios that hopefully will enable us to, when the situations present itself with young kids, we say, look, as you said about being on the bench and not playing a game, like that if you play in a game and you win the game 5-0, but the guy doesn't come off the bench, you've got to speak to that guy and say, hey, look, listen, I know this doesn't seem great at the moment, but be positive, be positive around your teammates, and I still think you're a great player, and we're going to utilize in a game where I think your strengths will be better for the game. And I think those sorts of things are massive, like and those lessons are things that you need to hold on to, because they're the things that are going to make you unique as a coach down the stretch. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this all pans out for you. I think I said in the post when you announced it a few weeks back, you've had an unbelievable career. I mean, over 100 caps. You've been part of some sort of seminal moments in Filipino football history. Don't know if there's talks of a statue yet, but there's you've definitely been at the forefront of Philippine football for such a long time, and absolute game changer, no question about it. Absolute game changer. So without you, put your brother in that bracket as well, because I think the two of you are synonymous with this period of football here in the Philippines, and the landscape will be completely different. So for that, myself and all the other Philippine football fans, massive thank you, congratulations on a brilliant career, and we look forward to see what happens with regards to the coaching career. Look forward to see you maybe national team, coaching staff down the road, maybe. Let's see what happens. 20 years time.
I'll say this now. I can say this publicly. Like, I'd love to work under you.
Sounds a bit saucy, that.
Because mate, you've said nice words to me, and I've said it's the truth, mate. Like, coming into the national team, like, just you have this leadership quality, this aura. I'm going to big you up here. It's an aura that me and my brother and other players would feel when John Terry would step in a room. Just like this aura of like.
What, nervous? Nervous going to steal your wife? Is that?
Yeah. But like, just like you knew, like you and Rob, like, and some other players, but you knew if you're going into Bow, you two would be the ones we want, like leading us and everything. We'd go to you lead us into battle. So that's for me. I'd love to work with you. Like, yeah, go back to the UK, hang out with Rob Gear, learn from him as well, learn from you. Like, so many mates, and I think that's what it's about. It's about connecting, sharing ideas, and yeah, it's what we enjoy doing. We could talk about football for hours and hours.
Yeah,
and time flies by.
Yeah, and I appreciate you giving your time here today and talking about your rationale behind wanting to retire, and I totally get it. So yeah, just want to wish you the best of luck with your future endeavours in the coaching world and beyond.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, Chris.
I really appreciate it, James. Thanks for coming on. For those of you who are listening, watching, if you like our content, please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, make sure you Apple Podcasts, Spotify, make sure you subscribe to those networks. And it would really, really help if you make a comment on any of those platforms. It really helps with getting that information out to the general broader public. Please share our content with your friends, with your family. If you think people would find James Younghusband waffling on for an hour interesting, or any of the other previous podcasts that we've got in our archive. Like I said, this is the 50th episode now that we'll put down. It's been a wonderful journey, and thanks for coming on the show for a second time, James. I'm sure you'll be on again in the future. Hopefully, once you're a fully fledged coach, we'll get you back on to give some of your coaching ideas as well.
Thanks, mate.
Brilliant. Thanks, James. Appreciate that.
Cheers,
Take care.